This is Rocky Snyder. At the tone, leave your name and message and I'll get back to you.
It wasn't until I changed that mentality that I became somebody. But if you can get through to doing things that you hate to do, on the other side is greatness.
Well, welcome back to another episode of the Rockfit Files. I'm Rocky Snyder in Santa Cruz, and on my show today, Laura Eiman. She's in Florida currently, but I think she'll be moving back up to our old haunts of New England in the near future. Now, Laura Eiman is a mental toughness coach, and I got to say, we got a lot of things in common from our affinities for sugar and staying away from it for her 20 years. For me, more or less since COVID began. And I got to tell you, out of all the addictions in my life that I've had to overcome, that was got to be the biggest one. But aside from that, with Laura, she is an Olympic weightlifting champion. At the age, if I don't mind me saying, because it's on your website, at the age of 67, she's cleaning and jerking, she's snatching everything overhead. And it's a joy to welcome on a fellow author who is a contributing author of The Successful Body. So here is Laura Eiman.
Thank you, Rocky. So happy to be here from Florida. And you are just the picture of health. And I get excited just looking at you because you're the power of example for so many people our age, baby boomers, who kind of, I think some of them have the mentality of you don't understand, I can't. And I'm here to say, well, you really can if you put your mind to it.
Well, and that's a big part of your world, isn't it? Putting your mind to whatever it is you're looking to achieve. How did that happen? How did that start?
You know, like many successful people, it starts by me hitting bottom just one too many times and saying, the view from the gutter is lousy. I don't want to be in the gutter anymore. And 20 years ago, I was struggling with a new divorce, young kids. I didn't have any money. I didn't have any direction, no goals in life. And I was just lost. And I was binging on sugar. And I finally got sick and tired of being sick and tired. It was one afternoon when I saw a Navy SEAL documentary. I didn't even know who they were, but I was watching the Navy SEAL documentary with my neighbor and I said, holy cow, Jim, these guys are amazing. They have a mental toughness. They have a integrity. They have a plan. They stick with each other. They do what they say they're going to do, and they're fit and healthy. I want to be like these guys. And that was the last day I had any sugar, Rocky. I was inspired by them so much, and I was so tired of hitting bottom that I put down the cakes, the cookies, the ice cream for good, and I started to turn my life around. Wow. And to this day, I want to help others do the same because there are plenty of people in the gutter, and they too would agree with me. The view is terrible.
I hear you. I've often heard the definition of bottom, hitting bottom, is when you cannot lower your standards faster than the consequences build up.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah,
yes.
I think we've both been there for whatever reasons and what other elements in our life. And then you get this sense of power by realizing that you're powerless, right? By accepting the fact that this is where it is, what can I do from here? So, but it's very interesting. I'm curious about the sugar aspect. What was it that made you realize that you had a problem with that, if you don't mind?
No, it's a great question. You know, people say, oh, psychologists and therapists say, you know, we're all addicted to something. It's just to what degree. And I never got addicted to pot, cocaine, alcohol growing up. I just didn't. But from a very early age on, like the age of 5, I discovered the sugar addiction. I didn't know that I was addicted, but I was just binging my way through my youth, my teenage years, through my first marriage. And it wasn't until my brother got into the 12-step program in his 20s that I learned that there was something called addiction, and it didn't necessarily have to be to heroin, pot, or cocaine or alcohol. You could be addicted to sugar and certainly to food. And so I watched him get clean off of sugar and alcohol for many more years. And it wasn't until I was 48 that I said, I want what he has. And it was the Navy SEAL documentary that pushed me over the edge. I was tired of living a life of just, bad skin, overweight, no energy. I wanted better for myself. And my standards were just too low. And I realized I need to raise my standards. And I think that's a problem that many people have today. I look around us, Rocky, 70% of our country is overweight or obese. And it's going to be 90% by the year 2030, according to the CDC. And I believe our standards are just too low. And we have this mindset of, I can't. So
Yeah.
I got off it, and it's the best thing I ever did. And you've been off it, you said, since COVID.
Yes. I mean, I've been off other things for about 21 years.
Have you?
But for the last year, out of all the things that I've said goodbye to, sugar. You know what's interesting, Laura, and you probably know this, but I'm slow to the party, and it takes me a while to get through this. But I found out that the process that is used to refine cocaine and heroin, which you mentioned, is a very similar process to how they process our food, like flour and sugar and
Wow, right.
the processed foods that are commonly found in a grocery store. It is a very similar processing kind of procedure that they use.
Wow.
So of course, this makes complete sense. And the sugar that gets into our brain attaches to those receptor sites where addiction is housed as well. I don't have complete information on that, but when I heard that, it made it so much more understanding to me. Then it made it real, I guess, going, oh, of course I struggle with this. Who wouldn't struggle with it? Right. So, but you've gotten past that. That was 20 years ago. What have you been doing ever since then?
Well, ever since then, I'm an entrepreneur. I started a successful business a couple of years after I got off sugar. And Rocky, for your listeners, there is no coincidence to it. When I got off of sugar and started to take much better care of my body, my mindset got stronger. And I started studying the Navy SEALs. This was long before the internet and YouTube. I would go to the library and I wanted to study the mindset of the Navy SEALs. And I also started to study the habits of Olympic athletes. And it was a couple of years later that I launched a business in my spare bedroom that became very successful, and it's still going on today. It was endorsed by Oprah, Barbara Walters, and Rachel Ray. But that has now taken a back seat because my passion today is helping people 20x their potential by developing that Navy SEAL mental toughness mindset that I had that has allowed me to be successful in so many areas of my life. And
Hold on.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You had a side business in your second bedroom, and that business was endorsed by Oprah, Rachel Ray, and Barbara Walters. And you said, okay, well, I'm just going to put that aside.
Well, I did that for about 15 years. It's an e-commerce business on the internet. It's a great gift product called PicPads, PICPADS.com. But I found after 15 years of that, I wanted to branch out and do something different.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, first, how scary is that to leave something that is doing quite well and you probably have a comfort zone in there, and to step outside into an uncomfortable, unknown environment? That's got to take mental toughness. How amazing is it that that was your subject anyway? So how is that going? How did that get started?
You know what the catalyst was? CrossFit. I had been doing cardio workouts and running my business PicPads for many years. And then my children introduced me to CrossFit. I was 60 years old back then. And I walked into this place. I'd never seen a barbell before. I'd never seen a kettlebell before. I didn't have any idea what functional fitness was, but they said, Mom, this is amazing. They had drunk the Kool-Aid. And so I gave it a shot, and I thought a squat was like a Southern vegetable. I'd never heard of a squat before. Burpees, that's a seed catalog. But I had a hard time with it. But I was looking around me, seeing everybody else do CrossFit, but I was fascinated, Rocky, by this whole concept of functional fitness. And I hired the head coach to give me private 20-minute squat lessons after the workouts of the day because I couldn't do any of it. I had no muscle mass. And it took me 4 months to learn how to do a squat correctly. And that's when I drank the Kool-Aid. And I said, if I can do this at 60 years old and I'm studying the Navy SEAL mindset, I want to help others who are struggling to get fit and to develop a mentally strong mindset so that they can do whatever they put their minds to. So it kind of evolved from that.
I love it. I know that there's people out in the community that have a different opinion of CrossFit, I'll say, but whenever asked, and I do not do CrossFit, but when clients come in, they ask me what I think about it. My go-to response is, it's helped millions of people change their lives. So it does, a million Elvis fans can't be wrong at the same time. There were some elements in there that can be so beneficial for so many people, and you are a prime example of that. So congratulations on that. And that inspired you to compete with Olympic weightlifting. Is that correct?
Yes, in CrossFit. And I agree with you. CrossFit is not perfect, but it's pretty darn amazing and can be a very excellent experience for many people. There's certain things about it that I don't agree with, but nothing's perfect in life.
Right.
And I'm so grateful for the whole functional fitness program that's out there that's available now that Greg Glassman kind of brought to soccer moms. But while I moved to Florida and I didn't know anybody. So the first thing I did is went to a CrossFit box because I like the community and I wanted to continue doing that. But Rocky, they had an Olympic weightlifting coach that was doing lessons on Saturday mornings. And I really didn't know what that sport was, but we were doing clean and jerks and snatches in CrossFit and I was doing them terribly. And I thought, well, gee, maybe I should give it a shot and just try some Olympic weightlifting lessons on Saturday morning so that I could improve my lifting when I'm doing a CrossFit workout, because I did not want to get hurt. And it was like going to Mars. It's a whole different sport. I'm the only one in the sport that doesn't have a tattoo. I was older than everybody else by about 35 years, but I found it kind of fascinating. So I started lifting that barbell on weekends to perfect my clean and jerk and snatch. And you know what happened? One of the teenagers threw me their pair of lifting shoes and said, Laura, you can't lift in CrossFit sneakers. Get a pair of proper shoes. These are my old ones. And that was the beginning of the end. I stopped doing CrossFit because I became fascinated by the barbell, and I did exclusively Olympic weightlifting for 18 months.
Wow. Well,
just for the heck of it.
Oh, that's wonderful. I think it was in 1995 that I became a USA weightlifting coach myself.
Really?
Oh yes. This was obviously 5 years before CrossFit came about, and I loved it. I loved everything about it, and to this day, it's kind of some of the derivations of those moves are in my own program. I don't do any of the competitions necessarily, but the movements are just so powerful. They're just so amazing.
Yes.
So good for you for exploring that.
I have got to get on an airplane and come out and train with you sometime. Is that a date? Can we do that when COVID lifts?
Oh, I would love nothing but that. Or maybe I could just make a plane trip back to New England as you settle back in.
There you go. We'll make this happen. But for your people who are listening, I want to share something. I got into Olympic weightlifting. It was just kind of on a whim. And it really is the example, Rocky, of sometimes if you don't overthink something and you just give it a shot, just for the sake of giving it a shot, you never know what kind of opportunities are going to open up. That day I walked into that Olympic weightlifting class, my first one. I looked at the barbell and I said, this barbell could really teach me a lot about discipline, about focus, right? About technique, and about being humble around a piece of steel that could really potentially hurt me if I don't pay attention and do it correctly. And that was the reason I got involved, and it became a love affair with the barbell. And I went on to start winning lots of stuff. It just happened.
So wonderful. That is great. And then you finished, I think it was 4th in the national competition, but you were the state champion in Florida. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, you've done your homework. Yes. It just kind of one thing led to another. I kept saying, sure, why not? I'll give it a try. as opposed to no, I can't, no, I can't. And I did have very supportive coaches, and we all need supportive coaches, right, Rocky? We can't do any of this stuff on our own. But
The
I
best coaches
failed.
have coaches themselves. That's right.
Yeah, right. You can't do it on your own. And I failed a lot. For every beautiful lift I did, I bombed 500 times, right? That's always, we fail our way to the top. But yeah,
So yeah, I'm just curious, is this what you speak about in Successful Body, the chapter that you wrote? What was the content there?
my main thrust there was you can do anything you put your mind to. On my website, my tagline is, when was the last time you wanted anything by saying, I can't? If
Mm,
we really, really think that we can't do something, guess what? You're right. But if we really believe deep in our heart that maybe we can do something, and then we take the proper action steps, things are going to start to happen. But it really starts with believing in ourselves and watching our self-talk and creating a mentally positive, success-based mindset and deleting our toxic thoughts about ourselves. That's the whole premise to my mental toughness coaching program. And I got it from the Navy SEALs and the Olympic athletes.
Tell me more about this Navy SEAL mental toughness. I mean, what are the key points that you took from the Navy SEALs?
Well, I've been fascinated by them for a long time. And with all due respect to anybody in the military who's listening to this, I am grateful for your service and I thank you. I just happened to see that Navy SEAL documentary 20 years ago, so I kind of ran with it. But I'm so grateful for the Army Rangers, anybody in the military, the Marines, anybody serving at any capacity for keeping our country safe. But I followed the Navy SEALs, and I was fascinated by the rigorous BUDS training program that they go through. And then I started to follow Mark Devine on the internet when it became popular. And he's out in California where you are. He's a Navy SEAL commander, and he's written many books. And I was fascinated by their mindset of one of my favorite phrases that they say is, when the bombs start dropping, we go to work. And I thought, wow, bombs are dropping in our lives all the time. What if we applied that Navy SEAL mindset to a particularly difficult challenge that we have in front of us at work, or if we're getting a divorce, or we want to lose the 40 pounds, or a loved one is really sick? When the bombs start dropping, do we recoil and become fearful and a victim and say, I can't? Or do we move forward and say, yes, I can, and I'm going to go to work and figure out how to make this work for me, or get myself through it in a positive way? I love their mindset. And then another phrase that they use is all in all the time. Half measures avail us nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I coach, all in all the time.
Wow. So how do you inspire people or teach them, however you would like to phrase it, to do just that?
That's a great question. I developed over 20 years, I developed 4 steps, 4 really simple steps. I joke, I say, I'm blonde, I keep things simple. Although blonde jokes are probably not politically correct, and I'm not here to insult anybody. I'm just saying, for me, I like to keep things simple. So it's not 9 steps or 19 steps. It's 4 steps to becoming mentally tough, to changing your mindset, to deleting toxic emotions about yourself and your world around you, and taking positive action steps and living in a success-based mindset. And it really starts, Rocky, with what do you want from your life? What are your dreams? What are your visions? What are for yourself? And most people don't even have the guts to dream and to say, well, I really do want to lose the 40 pounds. I really do want to climb Mount Everest. I really do want to switch careers, because they're so scared and they don't believe they can. So we always start with that. And if we don't have dreams, as you well know, as a successful entrepreneur, we're not going to get anywhere. So I start with that. That's my step 1. And then I have 2, 3, and 4 that I guide them through to get to creating a life where they're 20xing their potential.
Now, you mentioned twice now about deleting the negative thoughts. But I know there's no delete button that I can push. So how do you recommend doing that?
Great question. It's called practice, practice, practice. It is, as I say to my clients, you're always going to have a dog barking at the back door. We can't control that first negative thought, that woof, woof, woof that comes into our mind. We can't control that. They happen all the time. But we do have the ability and the choice to control the second thought we have. And so it becomes an exercise of enlightening my clients to, you do have control over the second thought, not the first. So when you have negative thoughts come into your mind, you say, oh, does that thought serve me or does it not serve me? If it doesn't, I'm going to get rid of it. And I'm oversimplifying things here, but I choose to delete it, and I'm going to replace it with thinking about my visions and my dreams, taking an action step today. There's a certain sequence of actions that we can do to get rid of that negative thought that comes into our mind. It is doing mental push-ups, and they are a million times harder than a clean and jerk and a snatch. Changing your mindset is very hard work, but the returns are enormous.
Now, the clients that come to see you, are we talking about just women of your own age bracket? Are we talking young men? Who are we talking about?
On my website, I market myself as a woman. I build brave women. I specifically love to help women empower themselves, like drop the victim attitude, drop the self-pity. I had a PhD in self-pity for years, so I understand where they're coming from. But if women want to win, they've got to drop the self-pity and the victim attitude, and I can help them do that and replace it with dreams and visions for themselves. But interestingly enough, because I do a lot of work for corporations with mental toughness workshops, they're all co-ed. They want the message that I bring for both audiences. And I say, fine by me, because I grew up with 3 brothers and no sisters. So I love speaking to men as well. So it's really for both. The average age, it depends. The average age on the corporate side of people that I speak to is usually 30, 40, and 50s. Baby boomers, I would love to reach more baby boomers. And I'll speak to anybody who's willing to change their mindset and want to increase their potential.
Do you carry the same message to the corporate world as you do with individual clients?
Everything is tailored to the individual corporation. Some corporations want to speak more on resilience and motivation, and then other corporations might have a different agenda. At the core is my 4 steps, and it's the same for one-on-one clients. It's the same for high school and college students. It's the same for corporations, but I'll tweak it a little bit.
I see. Now, with your individual clients, of course, we have COVID restrictions. So I'm imagining you've got several clients online that you do these kind of Zoom encounters with, but do you see people in person as well?
I used to, but right now Zoom has taken over, and it's so efficient that I can see people literally all over the world. I can coach them, or, Zoom has really changed the business life for all of us. So it's even more efficient now to do it. I like one-on-one, and I can't wait to get back to that. But people don't want to get in their car and drive. We can do Zoom.
I'm curious what a session with you might look like.
Well, a session is 45 minutes. And I first really connect with the people to find out why they want to work with me. We do an intake because I want to make sure that I'm a good fit for them. I might not be. Mental toughness is not for everybody, and I don't want to waste their money or their time. And I want to find out if they really and truly are dedicated and willing to be coached. And once that's the case, I want to hear all about them. And they come to me, some come to me and say, I want to lose weight. Others come to me and say, I want to improve my tennis game. I'm retired and I'm totally driven to becoming a great tennis player. And I just started taking tennis lessons at age 55. How can I do it? I get all kinds of people. So we start right away with, what are your dreams and your visions? Because that's the gasoline that fuels all of our sessions.
So with keeping confidentially clients' names out of the picture here, can you give me a success story that comes to mind?
Yes, I will. And with their permission, I use their success story, but I change their names anyway. So 8 years ago, when I was in Boston, a woman named Sarah came to me and she said, I want to lose 40 pounds. I don't like myself. I'm fat, I'm overweight, and I can't get there. And I said to her, well, that's great. Why don't we start with, why do you want to lose the 40 pounds? And she said, well, because I have type 2 diabetes. and I want to get healthy. And I said, well, that's a great reason, but frankly, Sarah, that's not juicy enough. Let's get juicier. Why else do you want to lose the 40 pounds? Well, because I mean, look at me. I'm not attractive. I'm not pretty, and I don't have any energy. I said, okay, keep going. Why else do you want to lose the 40 pounds? Well, Rocky, she kind of got a little annoyed with me and said, well, what do you want me to say? I mean, I'm ugly. I don't have any energy. I don't like myself. I'm 40 years old. And I said, go ahead, keep talking. And she kind of looked at me and said, my mother, when I was in 8th grade, told me that I was fat and unattractive and I'd never get married unless I lost weight. And I said, Sarah, that's really a tough thing to hear. How did that make you feel? And she said, well, terrible. And I believed her. And you know what, Laura, that night I went to bed and I said to myself, all I really want is to be able to walk into a room and feel beautiful. And I said, Sarah, that's your vision. That's your dream. Sure, you want to get rid of the 40 pounds and reverse your type 2 diabetes, but you really, really want to walk into a room and feel beautiful. I can help you do that. How would it feel? She started to glow. She lost the 40 pounds because she had a very powerful emotional why. She wanted to forgive her mother. She wanted to get married for the first time. She wanted to be that beautiful woman that 8th grade girl, I don't know how old she was thinking about in bed that night.
Mm-hmm. This is not the first time that I've heard such a path where you peel back the superficial reasons to get to the core of the matter. And once you tap into that core, it's not guaranteed, but I would put money on it every time that that person is going to achieve the goal, because you have really put your thumb on the exact reason why. So boy, that's wonderful. I love hearing stories like that. But I'm curious, you call yourself this mental toughness coach, and I believe you through and through, but I haven't really heard of that phrase. And maybe it's because I'm not really looking for a mental toughness coach, but are there mental toughness coaches in our world that I just haven't found? Or is this what you have created?
I think there are a few mental toughness coaches out there, but honestly, I hope they're not a whole lot, because I'd like to be leading the pack. There are life coaches, there are career coaches, there are business coaches, there are weight loss coaches. And mental toughness coaching, when I heard that phrase years ago, when I said, these Navy SEALs are so mentally tough, I want what they have, I kind of said to myself, I like that phrase. I think that excites me. That makes me excited and want to get out of bed, because I was a mental weenie for so many years. When I dropped being a victim and I dropped the sugar and I stopped feeling sorry for myself and I started to grow and become mentally tough, which means developing integrity, which means living in a solution-based mindset instead of complaining all the time, I started to use it. There are a few mental toughness coaches out there. I don't think there are a lot of them, though. It's mainly life coaches and career coaches and diet coaches. And then, of course, like you, a personal trainer coach as well.
Now, do you hold any of those credentials yourself? I mean, you've been
Well,
CrossFitting for a while now.
I've been CrossFitting, and I last year joined Navy SEAL Mark Devine. We weren't able to meet in person, but through Zoom because of COVID. I joined his Unbeatable Mind coaching program, and I became a Navy SEAL certified Unbeatable Mind coach, trained by Navy SEAL Commander Mark Devine and his team. So I got my certification in 2020, and I continue to work with them through Zoom. And when COVID lifts, I'll be going to Carlsbad, California, and doing burpees with Navy SEALs and studying his Unbeatable Mind coaching program even more, because there's no end zone when you're working on yourself and growing.
Well, I was thinking, and so I have this vision that you're crawling under barbed wire and you're getting thrown into a pool with full packs on or whatnot. But was there a boot camp of sorts with this program that you followed?
The Unbeatable Mind coaching program, we did it through Zoom, but you can attend a boot camp with him. And for anybody who's interested in this coaching program, you can show up and do his coaching program, not having to be in peak physical condition. All are welcome. all are welcome, but you will, as part of your program, you will start to get into shape. But the main thrust of his Unbeatable Mind coaching program is this here.
So
It's developing a mentally tough mindset.
you've accomplished quite a few things since this inception into your life and change. What is something, if you don't mind sharing, what's something that you're still attempting to conquer or achieve, something that is requiring this mental toughness within your own world?
Hmm. That's a great question. One of my goals since seeing that Navy SEAL documentary is to train with them in person. And now that COVID's going to lift and I'm an Unbeatable Mind coach, I can't wait. It's going to be a very, very moving event for me to meet Mark Divine in person and to thank the Navy SEALs that I meet out in California who are working. Mark has a whole big company now out there. To be able to train and just do burpees with them will be one of the greatest joys of my life, just to rub elbows with these great people and others like me who are not Navy SEALs, but have taken the coaching program and want to spread the word to others in our personal coaching programs, to people who want to really raise their standards to the next level and think like a Navy SEAL.
Oh, that's I wish you well with that venture. That's going to be one heck of a trip. Now, you also have mentioned that you've got a couple of kids, and I'm sure that you are not in any way a wallflower, that you have many people around you. So how does your mental toughness filter through your family and friends?
Well, I hope that I am an inspiration to them. I don't ever like to get on a soapbox. I never say you should to anybody. My dream, and I'm sure you do the same, Rocky, is to just be the power of example. And as I work through my own mental toughness program and I go through my own problems and come out the other side, I hope that I can just be somebody that my children are proud of. And just as I am proud of them. So it's just the continuing journey of personal development to become a better person every day, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I will be 68 in August. And what I do with my kids is I knock on their door and I say, all right, my birthday is in 2 weeks. We're going to be doing 68 burpees for my birthday. And
I'm sure.
They rise to the occasion. They're all high-level CrossFitters, but what's really interesting is my daughter's husband is such a massive guy that he hates burpees, and he could do CrossFit regionals. So Jeff is in for a surprise when I say, Jeff, get ready because you're going to do 68 burpees on my birthday. It kills him every time.
Oh, I imagine. They're just going, oh, come on, Mom. Can't we just bake a cake? Like, no sugar, burpees. Oh, my gosh. Now, you're wearing a t-shirt, and I've got to comment on that. For those that are just listening to the podcast and not watching the video, it's Barbells for Boomers. What's that all about?
Well, I'm going to turn around. You can read the slogan on the back. Tell me if you can see it.
It says, we did Woodstock and Watergate together. Let's not do wheelchairs together. Oh, I love that.
So I would love to reach more baby boomers and help them get mentally tough.
Oh, so how is that? How do you reach out to them?
Well, I'm working right now going through social media and LinkedIn to reach corporations, because corporate gigs, I reach more people in with one workshop than the one-on-ones. I love it all. I will help anybody in need at any time. For example, Rocky, you are so gracious to have me on your podcast that I would be happy to do a complimentary mental toughness workshop for your group anytime.
Oh,
I do only a certain amount of gratis work, but anytime you need me to, I'd be happy to speak to anybody about mental toughness and share my 4 steps, because the more people that you and I can change their lives and maybe get them off sugar, maybe get them into your gym to do some lifting with you, is so gratifying to me.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that gift, and I will redeem that for sure, because I'm intrigued by the mental toughness aspect of it. It's something that you can't necessarily not touch upon when you're trying to help people change their ways, because there needs to be a release of fear or overcoming fear. So I guess that would be my next question is, there's fear in everyone's lives, and
Hmm.
fear, not to, I'll quote Frank Herbert, the author of Dune, that fear is the mind killer. And
Oh,
that is where choice no longer is an option when we live in fear more often than not. So how is it that you guide people to overcome their personal fears?
it's not easy and it is a process. I always say to people, you're not going to, if you're looking for a quick fix, I can't help you. You're not going to see 3 of my YouTube videos and all of a sudden start to become really mentally tough. It is a lifelong journey, and fear is always going to be knocking at our back door. But you can develop resilience over time to counter that fear. And it starts once again with, what are your dreams and your desires? I am doing this move back to Boston, and there's a lot of fear-based pieces to that puzzle. But what keeps me going, Rocky, and keeps me keeping that fear at bay and not letting it take over as I do this 1,600-mile move next month, which is very expensive, and I'm moving to New Hampshire in a place that's sight unseen. My dream is that I want to be with my grandchildren, and I hold them, that vision of being with them and being back with my kids, so firmly in my mind that my fears are lessened and sometimes just dissolved, because they cannot stand up to how strong my desire is, and my dream is to go back home. So fear can be combated by going back to, what do you really, really want? What do you desire for yourself? But people just are too paralyzed and scared to dream big.
Hmm. I've often heard that fear is an acronym for face everything and recover. So
Ah.
you gotta face your fears, and otherwise they consume you, and
Mhm.
and they change the path, or they keep you on the path that you're on, if it's not the one that you're desiring. So it is
And
a
it, it's
practice. It's a
it's
discipline.
constant practice. Like, it's constant practice in your world and in mine. Practice is a very powerful word. If you can practice a little bit of resilience every single day, every single week, you get really, really good at standing up to fear.
Well, I
It's
imagine
developing a muscle.
your client Sarah, you shared her story, but you could have easily put in the word fear into that storyline too, when you're asking her, really, why is it that she wanted to lose 40 pounds? Because that moment that her mom said the things she said, that created a fear within
Yes, it
herself,
did.
didn't it?
Yeah. Hmm.
So
A
they
lack
go
of
hand in
belief.
hand. Very interesting.
Yeah, a lack of belief. And that's why I think, Rocky, we need good coaches like you and me, who are really willing to spend time with people and say, talk to me. I mean, I can tell that about you. Talk to me. Tell me about what your desires and your dreams are. If you don't have any, I'll help you. Why are you coming to my gym to get fit? What's the core reason? Because you want to keep that alive.
Now, I I've got to ask a question I probably know the answer to, but I want to see if it parallels the kind of the work that I do with clients. And many people come in to see me because they have some type of chronic or acute pain that hasn't been solved by other modalities. And the work that I do is quite unique in that regard. But when we start to touch upon the true underlying reasons, uh, physically, and getting them to explore into the dark areas of the places where they don't move well in, or even they don't move in at all, then the body starts to become excited, because it has to respond to something that they're unaccustomed to, and therefore it starts to get the brain moving. And the end result, short term, is that not only does the pain subside or become completely eliminated, but their mindset changes to the point where it opens up opportunities, where they say, one person came in not too long ago, say, I feel like I want to go swimming right now. And they hadn't been swimming in a long time. Or, oh my gosh, I want to just, I went out for a run, and I haven't run in so long. Do you find that when you tap into those areas, and you create that catalyst to change, do you see that switch in people?
Yes, and you hit the nail on the head. Even though I'm a mental toughness coach and all success starts here, the work that you do in terms of helping somebody regain their physical health is a very, very powerful first step in helping them start to become positive. When we can see quick, small changes in our body and we have a little bit more energy, and we just did a little bit more with Rocky today than we did yesterday, and we feel empowered and our body feels a little bit better, wow, the light switches start to light up in our brains and we start to feel better about ourselves. We get to be in a better mood. The endorphins start to kick in and we say, maybe I really can do this. So the physical approach can be a wonderful first step in helping people mentally shift.
That's great. I knew that there would be parallels to the work that you and I both do, because it all comes about for helping others achieve things unthought of, or getting them closer to their optimal level of performance, whether it's a mental performance, physical performance, combination of both, or whatever the case may be. Now, I will put contact information in the description links below the podcast and in all platforms, but just so that people can hear it, what are the best ways for them to find out more about you, your consulting, if they're corporate or individuals?
Thank you for asking. Well, my website, which is my name, Laura Eiman, Laura, E as in Edward, I, M as in Mary, A, N as in Nancy, lauraeiman.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, and that's my website, and all the information that you need is right there.
Okay, now the last question I want to ask is, you turned 68 in August, as you shared. I'm thinking that you're still competing in weightlifting, or do you have an open coming up? And now that restrictions are kind of opening, is there any competitions coming up?
Not at the moment, because I have been struggling with some back pain for the last year. And people quickly assume that it's because of Olympic weightlifting. And you can have back pain whether you're 50 pounds overweight or in shape like I am. I had some sciatica down the leg and all that nasty stuff. But so I've had to put the barbell aside for now. The good news is I'm doing much better. And so I am excited to get back into, once COVID lifts, I'm going to get back into a gym and start lifting again, but I'm going to go a little easy because I want to make sure that I can be lifting the barbell with my friend Rocky for the next 30 years. So I kind of got burnt out with the competing. I got a gold medal at the PanAm Games, and that was the last competition I did. And I got a little burnt out by it because I did so much in 18 months. So I'm going to scale back and just enjoy lifting and doing CrossFit. And I might get into a different sport. I don't know. I'm moving to New England. I'm not sure what I might do next, but functional fitness will always be with me.
Oh, fantastic. I love you say the next 30 years. I could see at 98 doing cleans and snatches and whatnot. But
you'll be right there with me, Rocky.
we will if you're going to offer something to me, then I will offer my services back to you and see if we can't get past that low back issue. So
that's a deal. I'd love to. I've made tremendous progress. What might be of interest to your viewers also is I do 21-day no sugar challenges. And if 21 days is too much, I do 5 days or 7 days. It's a magnificent way for your clients who are working on their physical body to really explore what their relationship is with food and sugar. And boy, talk about getting rid of sugar for 5 days and feeling like you just want to climb Mount Everest. It's night and day.
Oh yeah, it is. I will attest to that myself.
Oh.
Laura Eiman, this has been a wonderful conversation. I really appreciate it. I know I've learned quite a bit, and hopefully there's a little bit more mental toughness within me just by listening to your words. So thank you for being on.
You're so gracious, and it's my pleasure. Thank you, Rocky.
That's it for another episode of the RockFit Files. Thank you, Laura Eiman, for coming on. And if listening audience, if you would follow me on Instagram, that's Rocky_Snyder, SNYDER. This week, I'm going to select one of the new followers to receive a copy of Successful Body. So until next week, take care. Make sure you make it a good one.